Now, the broadcast by Channel 4 News last night of parts of a secret recording featuring Rupert Murdoch criticising the police inquiry into alleged inappropriate payments to public officials by journalists has reverberated around the world. The recording, obtained by the investigative website Exaro, features Mr. Murdoch speaking to journalists from the Sun newspaper in March, some of whom were arrested by police investigating illegal payments to public officials.
I mean, it's a disgrace. Here we are 2 years later. The cops are totally incompetent. But I mean, the idea that the cops have somebody come in and kick you out of bed and your families at 6 in the morning, it's unbelievable. Why are the police behaving in this way? It's the biggest inquiry ever. Well, it's next to nothing. And now they're arresting their own who never even took money.
Well, Mr. Murdoch showed a somewhat different side 2 years ago when he was appearing before MPs, saying to the Media Select Committee, "This is a most humble day of my life." Today, Ben Bradshaw, a Labour MP and member of the Select Committee, criticised the content of the secret recording, calling it shocking.
The implication of the sort of language he was using and the tone he was using among his own journalists, he thought in private, is completely different. It shows contempt for the criminal investigation. It tells the journalists worried about their futures, perhaps if they're convicted of a criminal offence, to trust him that he will look after them. And it also issues a rather worrying warning that he will get back at those who he thinks are pursuing him, whether that be the police, Lord Justice Leveson, or the political establishment.
Well, we're joined now by Neil Wallis, former executive editor of the News of the World. Neil Wallis, well, I mean, it's a rather interesting moment, this. I mean, were you in there?
Was I in that meeting?
Yeah.
No, I haven't worked for Mr. Murdoch for many years. No, not me.
No. So what did you make of Mr. Murdoch's appearance, as you could hear it on that tape?
Well, I've today read the whole transcript and I recommend it. It's on the Exaro website.
Well, bits of it our lawyer won't let us broadcast, so...
A little bit harsh. But it's a very interesting insight into a man who's basically talking to 23 people who've been arrested, who are traumatised, deeply distressed, and he volunteered to go to see them to reassure them that he had not forgotten them.
But what he also told them was he regretted being as cooperative with the police as he had been and was rather pleased that he wasn't being cooperative any longer.
I don't know about the bit about being cooperative any longer.
Well,
because
they haven't supplied anything now for about 4 months. Well, and he was rather pleased about that.
And he sounded rather pleased about it, but it's a little bit shutting the stable door, frankly. 23 journalists from The Sun have been arrested as a result of the actions of the MSC. A whole number of newspaper sources, which I find deeply disturbing, have been arrested. A number of people, sources of journalists, have been arrested who no one's ever suggested they're taking money. I think that is very concerning, and I think he now realises that that can't be right.
Well, the trouble is some crimes were committed, although, of course, there have got to be some trials to find that that is the case.
Well, there are trials upcoming, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hardly surprising they've had their collars felt if the law system is suspecting them of some misdeed.
He is not suggesting that crimes shouldn't have been investigated, I don't think. The issue is that, as he makes the point, is that these are people who are innocent until proven guilty. But also, I think if you read it in particular, what he talks about at great length is the ordeal many of these people have gone through. I went through that ordeal myself, as you know. They are not terrorists, they are not drug dealers, they are not rapists.
But there will be people looking in who will say, you've done some pretty rotten things to, you know, people that you've done over in the paper.
You have?
Yeah, you journalists.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant
Yeah,
you.
no, collectively. Well, I don't know about you personally, but I mean, certainly you journalists.
Yeah, I quite understand that people may not be particularly sympathetic towards tabloid journalists.
Supposing I put it to you that I had been recording your messages on your phone for the last 5 years, would you be perfectly happy about that?
Well, I wouldn't. But Mr. Murdoch is actually... That's not what he was talking about.
Well, not in that instance, but that is part of the whole thing. And then paying public officials, you know, prison
Do
warders,
you think there are
policemen,
no
whatever.
circumstances whatsoever in which Channel 4 would never pay money to a public official?
I can only speak for myself. I never have and never would, and I am a good journalist, and I've got some great sources, and I don't need to do that, and neither do you.
And there are no circumstances?
Under no circumstances would I pay.
What if someone walked in here and said to you, I have tape recordings that will prove that a cabinet minister there are serious allegations have been made against that prove he is innocent, but I will only give them to you for £500.
I'd say you're a squalid individual, get stuffed.
And so that cabinet minister, his name can never be cleared.
Well, I don't know about that. I would find another way of doing it, and I bet you I'd manage it.
Well, I'm sure you're a great journalist, and you may well do.
Neil Wallis, I'm going to have to leave it there. On that very up note, I think I have to leave it, but I'm grateful to you for coming in.